Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video today, I'm going to be discussing advice I would give you if I was your sales coach. So on call reviews I do with the girls in my program, privately and group calls, I'm going to be unpacking what I see, I guess the most common mistakes and I guess things that you can implement taking away from this video today to help you close more deals, to help you make more money, and really just be more confident overall in your sales approach, just so you can enjoy what you do a little bit better. So let's dive right into it. The first most common mistake that I see is people talking too fast. So as a closer or even a setter, just a sales rep in general, if you talk too fast, you're going to be massively lowering your status. Something I was once told was if you think you're talking slow, go slower. And that has stuck with me so much. And it was about a year ago when I was in kind of a dry patch. I was closing no deals. I was kind of panicking, wondering like, what am I doing wrong? And I was rushing and I was talking too much. And I was going into the sales call a little bit scared, a little bit panicked. And it was really lowering my status and really making the prospect feel uneasy, a bit uncomfortable. And when that day, actually, when I got given the advice, I really just practiced leaning back in my seat, speaking slowly, and I closed like 3 or 4 deals off memory back to back. And I think it was just that new leash of confidence that I had personally, and then that I portrayed to the prospect, which made them feel more comfortable, more at ease, more open. And then, of course, we went on to close the deal. Number 2 would be not probing and clarifying enough. So if you think about it, you're meeting a stranger for the first time and you're asking them questions and you're expecting them to open up and give you their pain point and basically tell you perhaps their life story if you're selling B2C. And you've literally just met them and you've got 45 minutes to go from opening up and getting their pain to getting them to close the deal and pay on the call, however much that might be 5K, 10K. That's quite a big ask. And within that process, if you, not to sound cynical, but if you just believe everything that person is telling you, you're not only doing yourself an injustice, but them an injustice also. Because we all know when we meet someone for the first time, we put our best foot forward. We want to come off as the best version of ourselves. And that's how the prospect will be feeling too. So if we're asking about why they're on the call, if we're asking about why they want to, make a change, or let's say if it's Airbnb coaching, if we're asking them why they want to set up properties and what's behind that, if we just take their first answer from face value, such as, I just want to make more money, if we just take that as face value, we don't actually know why they want to make more money. Would they just like to make a bit more money so they have, an extra holiday a year? Or do they actually need to make money to put food on the table? Like, how severe is the problem? Just like if a prospect says it's now or never, but yet they've spent 2 or 3 years putting it off. Why is it now or never? We really need to be probing and clarifying. If the prospect gives you an answer, you need to really double down on that. But why? What do you mean by that? How long have you felt that way? It's asking questions to really ensure that the answer they've given you is true and that they really feel that they want to make a change. Because if you don't have that connection built and if you don't clarify that type of information, the prospect at the end of the call is not going to buy the product. Then they're not going to have enough reason why to actually take that step and want to purchase whatever you're selling then and there. Plus, they may not even need the product, and then you can tell them actually it's not the right time, it's not the right fit, and that is okay. Number 3, this kind of links into what I was just talking about. You are assuming, you're not asking. And trust me, assumption kills. That is the biggest mistake on a sales call that I see is closers, including myself in the past, used to assume the sale. You're on a call with a prospect who comes across as a bit of a yes man. And I've been there so many times where I'm like, this is going to be easy. They love what we do. It's now or never. They're ready to make a change. They have to do it. It's all systems go. And then you get to the end of the call and they tell you they need to think about it. It's because you have been lazy with your process, probably even skipping parts of your process. I'd be the first one to admit I've definitely done that because you think it's a done deal. The prospect's already convinced themselves. But that's not good enough. And yet, every now and then, there will be a prospect who has already convinced themselves and they genuinely are just ready to buy. But I don't know about you, I don't want to take that chance. And I also think every single person that you are speaking to deserves to have that journey, deserves to build the rapport, feel safe, feel comfortable, build trust before they are expected to purchase the product. So do not ever assume the prospect is going to buy just because they seem eager. Still do your job, still ask the right questions to get the right outcome. Next is you probably have no structure. And I see this time and time again, especially with beginners, which is very normal because really you don't even know what you're looking out for when it comes to structure. You will do an introduction. You'll start taking your prospect through the current situation, then pain, then goal, then what happens if they don't do anything, then pain again, then goal again, then why now, then logistics, then pain one more time. And it is like an emotional roller coaster, up and down and up and down and up and down. And that is going to, one, massively put someone on trigger mode, like on high alert, and just not feel comfortable. And then two, start to almost feel like they are being manipulated. And I'll never forget, I was reviewing one of my students' calls in a group training within my program. And this was when she was brand new on the offer. And we were watching one of her calls and she kept on asking, but why now, why now, why now? Because she didn't feel comfortable with the process, which we then went on to fix together. And the prospect told her why now 2 or 3 times and she was happy to do so. But on the third and fourth time, I distinctly remember the prospect face changed and it completely dropped. And they went from being super kind of open and bubbly to super closed off and just being like, I don't have time for this. The prospect kind of understood what was going on, and not in like a manipulation way, but they were smart about it. They knew that this stranger was asking them a lot of invasive questions and they weren't kind of hearing them and understanding them. So it led the prospect to have to repeat themselves over and over again, which caused a lot of resistance. Of course, that went on to the deal not being closed, a lot of objections at the end that was never overcome, basically. And that's totally fine. That is a complete learning experience, which we worked on together to get better at. And that is the thing. All of these points are very simple to overcome with the right training. But yes, going back to the point, structure. You must have your framework, especially if you're a beginner. Have your script. I know a lot of people don't love having a script, but that's going to be your comfort blanket at the start. That's going to get you used to when you ask a question and why you ask it. If you can get comfortable with that for a couple months, then you can start really focusing on tonality and you feeling natural and you diverting off the script, sticking with a framework, adding your own questions and reframes. But at the start, especially on a new offer or on a brand new sales journey, have a structure and stick to it because it's going to be proven. You're going to be able to measure your metrics based off that. Next is you don't ask questions in the pitch. Now, I've seen this time and time again. People just want to rush through the pitch, however long it is, 5, 10, 15 minutes. They go through discovery, they give the quickest pitch ever, and then they want to drop the price and be done with it. It's very important to still keep your prospect engaged. if you think about it, you've just had like a 25-minute conversation about them, their emotions, their feelings, getting them to open up quite a lot. So to then transition into the pitch and pretty much like word vomit at them, they're just going to switch off, especially if it's a long pitch. Like the previous offer I sold on, the pitch was like 20 minutes because it was a more technical offer. There was a lot of points needed to cover. And that's okay if you kept them engaged. And something I really, really focused on was asking questions like, what's your favorite part so far? Do you think that would be beneficial to you? What do you think about this? How so? What do you mean by that? And just really keeping them engaged really, I guess, doesn't kill the sale. You know, if you let them just switch off, it kills the sale. They've lost the pain, they've lost the momentum. They just want to think about it. So making sure you're asking engaging questions. I'd say if your pitch is around 5-10 minutes long, you want to ask 2 or 3 questions in the pitch. Last but not least, it's being scared to drop the price or being nervous when you are dropping the price because you don't believe in the product. I cannot stress enough how many people do this, and it's totally natural. And I speak to so many girls in my program who feel anxious to drop the price because the offer doesn't feel aligned with them. And that is something that honestly I never really experienced in my sales journey as much. I was lucky that the offers that I were working on were ethical, were pretty much aligned with me. Yes, I didn't know much about the industries when I got into them, but I learned a lot about them when I was in them. Perhaps I had a bit of a wobble when I sold my first ever 10K ticket price because I went from selling like 3 to 10K, so I felt a little bit nervous. But overall, I feel I've been pretty confident with that. But I see it time and time again, and it's completely normal. But it's really going to kill the sale. And it's super, super important to understand where that nervous feeling is coming from. Is it internal that you need to do work on mindset wise? Or is it that the offer is a scam and you don't believe in it? Obviously, if the offer is a scam and you don't believe in it, it's time to move on. If it's internal, I would really urge you to look within and really reflect on why you feel that way. Is it possibly a mindset around money, about spending money perhaps from childhood, maybe? Is it that you feel that the prospect doesn't need the product? Really reflect on that. And that's what I tell the girls in my program to do. Why? And I sometimes put them on the spot because that will help them really think then and there, like, what is the problem? Like, why are you nervous about it? And then we overcome it together. So yeah, if you're experiencing that, it's something I would really urge you to reflect on. If you have a mentor, definitely speak to them about it. That is the beauty of working with someone who's been there and done it. Everyone's been in the same boat. Everyone will have those ups and downs, highs and lows. So if you can lean on them, that will massively help you overcome it. And that is it. That would be my advice. If I was your sales coach and I was reviewing one of your sales calls, that is probably the advice I would give you, and the advice that comes up most often from myself in my sales journey and the girls in my program. As always, there will be a link in my bio if you're a woman who wants to get into sales, or you're already in sales and you are looking to take your career to the next level. I'll leave the link below. Book a call with myself personally and we can chat about your sales goals to see if I can help. But thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.